Good afternoon, etc. guys. This is Manga by Volume. My name is Davin, and today we are going to be doing what I've been reading the past month or so. I've suddenly found myself with a lot more free time than usual this past month, and I spent a lot of it reading. So yeah, we're gonna just jump right into it. The first volume that I read this month was Junji Ito's No Longer Human adaptation, and wow, there is a lot to say about this story, and I really don't know where to begin. This is an adaptation of a one of the most highly regarded best-selling works in Japanese fiction by Osamu Dazai, who, from what I've read, this seems to be pretty like people kind of agree that this is his suicide note. This is his will, and you can really tell this is it's quite a depressing read. But Junji Ito, just his adaptation of it is it's just flawless. Um, like his art, the entire way through is just mesmerizingly good. I don't want to dive too much into the book just because it is there's a lot that can be spoiled in here, but this story kind of goes through the life of a man named I think his name is Yozo, and yeah, the little dust jacket kind of says it all. My life has been a life, or mine has been a life of much shame. I can't even guess myself what it must be to live the life of a human being. So yeah, Yozo is kind of a sociopath, honestly. He's not a likable protagonist, like, at all, and his life has been horrible, and you get to see a good chunk of it. And yeah, it's not fun. It's not enjoyable, but it is a very, very good read, and I highly recommend it, especially for fans of Junji Ito, because unlike most of Junji Ito's works, this is pretty light on like the actual horror elements. This is more, I guess, psychological horror, if anything. So Junji Ito's like typical like body horror specialty kind of goes into the background, and when it does present itself within this book, it's done to great effect. It's really impactful and symbolic when he does kind of like just throw all of his Junji Ito-ness onto the page. But yeah, it's kind of subtle compared to his other works, and I believe the writing stands up better than most of Junji Ito's works, because as much as I love Junji Ito, I know because I own like several shirts, and pretty much his entire thing, or his entire library you can see behind me, that's been published in English so far. His writing has never been his strongest quality. His art has always stood high and above his writing. And this kind of gives me hope, because I want him to do more adaptations like this of other things. Because when the writing is more focused, you get to see the full potential of his art. And yeah, No Longer Human is really something special. I've been rambling here, but I really love this book. I probably don't want to read it again, at least not anytime soon, because it really put my mind in a pretty dark place. But in terms of quality, this is his best work, I think. Yeah. So that's enough about No Longer Human, I guess. Still sort of depressing, I guess, but kind of less so. I read Inio Asano's new work, Downfall. This is a self-contained series. It's pretty thin. It took me maybe like less than a night to read, and yeah, it's pretty good. it seems like it might be somewhat autobiographical, because it's about a manga author, who has just released the last chapter of his very first series after like 10 years working in the manga industry. And you get to see him in like this really dark place where he's accomplished everything he set out to, but he's kind of at a crossroads because he feels he's not as passionate about the manga industry as he once was. And you kind of get to see behind the scenes a little bit, and kind of like I guess the psychology behind it, where like you're not worth anything unless your manga is a bestseller, and like the pressure to do that, and you get to see this man's kind of his life go into a downfall. It's really good. It's not my favorite Inio Asano work by any means, but it was definitely worth the read, and I enjoyed it very much. And as always, the art is fantastic. I don't want to go too far into it because it can get a little spoilery, I guess, and a little inappropriate. But yeah, it's a great read. Yeah. Again, similar to No Longer Human, the main protagonist isn't very likable. He's kind of a dick, especially by the end. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about Downfall. Really great book. If you like Inio Asano, you'll most likely enjoy this. All right, and next up, so that kind of concludes the physical manga / comics that I've read this month. I've been doing a lot of reading on my my Kindle Fire tablet that I got for Christmas, and I hadn't really used it at all up until this past month, when suddenly I was gifted with a plethora of free time, and I can't really show stuff on the Kindle, obviously, without being kind of tacky, but yeah, it just kind of shows up. There's a lot of glare and stuff, but I can talk about what I read, and maybe I'll edit some stuff in here after. But yeah, the very first thing that I read this month, comics wise, was Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips' Criminal, and oh boy, Criminal was very good. I was already kind of an Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips fan. I read most of Kill or Be Killed, some of Fatale, and I've always loved Ed Brubaker's writing style, and Sean Phillips, his art is a perfect match for the kind of like crime noir, hard-boiled style that Ed Brubaker writes. But Criminal is kind of an anthology series. I read the first 7 volumes, so basically like the original run of Criminal, before this recent 12 issues, I think it was, came out. And yeah, Criminal was awesome. So each volume is kind of its own self-contained story, and there's like a lot of themes present between the stories, and a lot of like reoccurring characters kind of show up here and again. If you like crime fiction, if you love shows like Breaking Bad, The Wire, and stuff like that, Criminal is kind of the essence of those shows distilled into comic book form, and it was a blast. I read multiple volumes before I even realized what hit me. Ed Brubaker, his writing style is just so easily digestible. Like time just flies when you're reading it. I enjoyed it very much. Let's see. I also read Kodansha was kind of having a Comixology sale where the first volume of a bunch of series was only 99 cents, and I figured, what the hell? I've been meaning to try some more Kodansha stuff, but I don't want to kind of wait for all these volumes to arrive in the mail, and I kind of want to sample a bunch of volumes before, you know, dedicating the money to the series. So I picked up volume 1 of Gleipnir, I think it's pronounced, which has an anime right now, which I haven't seen yet because it's on Funimation. But the first volume of Gleipnir, I don't really know how to feel about it. I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun, but I don't think it's for everyone. The main protagonist, like in the first chapter, does something really reprehensible, or almost does something really reprehensible. He's not a likable guy. And in fact, I don't think any of the characters in the series are very likable, at least based on Volume 1. And it's extremely violent. It's got a lot of sexual imagery as well. So I guess be warned about that, but if you're kind of into that thing, Gleipnir, it's a lot of fun, yeah. I'll probably pick up the series in physical in the coming weeks or so, and give it a I guess more of my time. It was worth checking out. Oh, and lastly, for what I've read this past month, was Volume 1 of Jeff Lemire's Black Hammer. This is a series I've wanted to check out for a long time. I absolutely adore Jeff Lemire. Everything he's done. I like his art style. I'll pick up any kind of Jeff Lemire variants when I find them. And Sweet Tooth is among my favorite comics ever. But Black Hammer is awesome. I mean, there's so much hype behind it that you've probably already heard this, but Black Hammer is like Jeff Lemire's like farm shtick paired with just a wonderful ode to superheroes. And it's a really good story, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing it. And I'll probably get like the library editions at some point because those look just awesome. But yeah, yeah, I don't really know how to end this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know like down in the comments, like what have you read this month? Do you have any recommendations based on the stuff I've talked about today? If you do, leave them down in the comments. Stay safe, everyone. I know times are tough right now, but at least we've got our funny picture books. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Manga by Volume, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.